We're on the internet. It's us.
All right.
It's Davis.
Hey guys,
we're here.
We're here to celebrate the arrival of
Yeah.
the advanced backpackers pick.
You heard it, fear cursed.
Yeah.
Advanced big to pick the thing.
Yeah, that I completely conveniently forgot about until Kent was yelling at me this morning.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. It's already Tuesday. Yes, the Adventurer's Backpack should be launching shortly.
Any minute. We're fixing up some technical difficulties. That's where Steve and Chuck are. I'm just gonna put the link in chat. So hey, if you haven't signed up for updates, we won't update you. We're not going to say anything about it. So you're going to want to follow that link and get an email notification.
Is this on Twitch?
We are everywhere. We're on Twitch. We're on X.
We're
on Facebook and YouTube.
All right. I guess I should open Twitch in case there's any questions or anything. Because Chuck usually.
Death Angel, welcome in. Long Shot, thanks for tuning in from YouTube. Savage Splendor, welcome in. Winter, good to see you. Fosco, thanks for tuning in last night. Kajidora, welcome in, welcome in. The Castle Keeper, the Castle Keeper.
The Castle Keeper.
The Castle Keeper, welcome in. It's an honor to have you. Hoyt, welcome in. Lando, Tux, KevCon, DM Chris, Sweeper, and Pastor Welby. It was a big early crew.
Yeah, I was sort of surprised.
Yeah. Jeb, welcome in. Good to see you. A Row, hello, hello. Greetings from GMS in the UK. How's stuff? I didn't know that you were from GMS. Very cool. We are Adventurer's Backpack. It's reforged. That's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, reforged. We got some new art. I know that... Well, first of all, we changed all that stuff to get the OGL compliant or OGL material out of it so that we don't have to worry about that again. So and it's lined up now with the PHB and the Monsters and Treasures. I have to get this Twitch out. Monster and Treasures and new cover.
Yeah. Wait. And new art and new layout.
Yeah.
And all of the classes are going to be fully leveled to level 24.
Yes.
So
yes,
excited.
Kent and I were. Yeah, we were going over that, finalizing the last little tidbits of that. I think 2 weeks ago.
I can't wait.
So I think it's like 99% done at this point. I thought there was one other section that he wanted to go over again to fix. But I can't remember. Maybe it had something to do with spells and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, it sounds like it'll be like pretty quick-ish fulfillment compared to like some of our other like other projects and stuff.
Oh yeah, I expect it to go to print within 2 weeks to 4 weeks. It'll go to print before this Kickstarter's over.
That's awesome.
We want to get it. Yeah, no, we really want to get these core books out, and I think this is the last of them. Maybe spells. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like the Adventure spell book.
Yeah, I don't have anything to do with that one. I didn't write any of it.
Okay.
I didn't peruse it, so I don't know where that stands. But it's also going to need cleaning up.
Yeah.
And then the modules. Anyway, yeah. So that'll be launching. I think it's a 30-day backer kit campaign.
Yeah, it'll end on July 1st, is what I have in my calendar.
Okay. Yeah, that should be exciting.
And we're gonna. Thanks for subbing.
Hey, wait! Isn't this the launch of Summer of Siege too?
Yeah, that was yesterday. It started the Summer of Siege season, the first one.
How did I miss that? What was I doing yesterday?
Well, it was really awesome and nice. You pinned on Twitter the Shouts game that I'm a player in for Summer of Siege.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We celebrate.
Oh yeah, no, that's a really good. That'll be fun to watch. That'll be super fun to watch. How many games do you have going for the Summer of Siege?
At least 10 streamers. I'm running one. I'm in one. We're already organizing a Castle Keepers one shot. For all of like the participating Castle Keepers.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm talking with Heather about getting some amazing adventures on our channel.
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah. We've needed some amazing adventures on our channel.
Yeah. Yes, we do. And what I'm looking at. Okay, so recently, it's funny you mentioned the Amazing Adventures because recently I've been.
Hold that thought. Mike Moans just raided in with a party of 58. Thanks for coming in and hanging out, Mike Moans. How was your stream? Thank you all.
Welcome.
Hello. We're celebrating the launch of the Adventurers Backpack Reforged. It's not live yet, but it's about to be.
Yes.
Any minute now.
There was a technical difficulty.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that you get, what is it, 12 new classes? 13 new classes.
14.
14 new classes.
14 new classes. Not one, not two.
Yeah. Keep on counting. And then you get class and a half, multi-classing.
Dual classing,
class and a quarter.
class and an eighth.
Yeah.
Tablespoon of class. Savage, holy shit, thank you so much. Ooh, okay, K-Raid says, I'm brand new. Do you have a too long didn't read for the backpack thingy? So the brief overview of what the Adventurers Backpack is.
Me?
Do you want to take a crack at it?
14 new classes. I think over 100 new spells. An equipment list. Backpacks. These are pre-made backpacks. A set of pre-made backpacks for the adventurers for each of the classes. So we have preset 1 to 2 backpacks for each of the classes that one would typically carry into the game. Multi-classing rules, dual classing rules, and class and a half rules. Class and a half rules are really special. They're one of the most popular types of amalgams of classes. I think it's one of the best. What else is in the back? Do we have mounts in there? Did we add mounts into it?
I don't think there's mounts in this one, but that we are going to be doing the Adventures Companion, which is an add-on for this campaign.
Yes, the Adventures. Oh, yeah. Right. The Adventures Companion with this backpack kit or whatever. And the, we got a backer kit with the Adventurers Backpack.
Adventurers Backer Kit.
Adventurers Backpack Backer Kit. And I think that's about, those are the big highlights of the thing. Vastly expand your game.
It's their biggest player expansion for CNC.
Yes, it's our biggest player expansion. And the 14 classes are really cool, especially my
totally unique
favorite.
To CNC.
Yeah, totally unique to CNC. I especially like the Scald.
The Seeker's my favorite.
The Seeker would be the second one.
Really?
And yes, I really like the Seeker, and I like the Forsworn. Forsworn's a really good class.
I haven't had the chance to play with Forsworn yet.
I was hoping. Did. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I went with. Oh my God, Wait, was I a Forsworn? I might have been a Forsworn. It was for an actual play that should be coming up pretty soon on our YouTube channel. Maybe I was a Forsworn.
Yeah, I haven't played one. I was hoping that Steve would run a game this summer and I could play a Forsworn in the game.
I've got to pull it up here. No, I was Oathsworn. Different than Forsworn.
It's sort of similar. But you also have the what's the class? The Warrior Priest. The Warrior Priest is a great class. These are really, really good classes. I really like the classes in here because they take it to the, you're getting into niche archetypes that have developed through the gaming experience over decades, right?
Yeah.
And what's the, I don't have my backpack, the ethereal, there's the ethereal knight, and then there's the thief that steals magic. Arcane Thief.
The Arcane Thief. Yeah.
Okay, the Arcane Thief is another one. And have you ever watched? What's the? I don't know if it's an anime. I don't know what it is, but it has the character Jinx in it.
Oh, Arcane.
Arcane.
Yeah.
Okay. So whenever I think of an Arcane thing, I think of Jinx. That's like, for some reason, I just think that's like my idea of a classic Arcane thing is going to be like Jinx, right? Which has turned into one of my favorite characters. When I first saw Arcane, I was like, I was just trying to go to sleep. And then I got caught up in it, and I was like, wow, this is a really, really, really good story.
Everyone that has seen it has told me that I need to watch Arcane.
You haven't seen it yet? Oh my God,
I
yes.
barely ever watch TV.
Yeah, no, I hardly ever watch it. When I turn it on, I'm usually just trying to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's not difficult because 90% of the movies out there.
Oh, my dad had me watch The Gorge recently.
I haven't seen it.
It would make a great adventure. It'd make a really great...
Oh, that's the one where they shoot down into the...
Yeah, it's a Russian agent on one side and an American agent on the other, and they're both like snipers with no family to speak of, and no one who would miss them if they were to perish on this like top secret mission in the Gorge.
Yeah,
it was very cool.
Yeah, I know the plot. That's the one. I haven't seen it yet, so I know the plot of it. But yes, that would make a really cool adventure.
Fulcrum says Rogue from X-Men could be an Arcane Thief, and that the show Arcane is amazing.
Yes. Yeah, I would give Arcane up there with like a 9.
Really?
As to how entranced I was, because it's so rare.
Yeah.
For me to like stop and say, "Oh wait, I'm going to watch this," and then you decide to go ahead and watch the whole series that week, And I think there's only been a few movies or a few shows that have done that recently. Arcane, The Glory, and then there's that one Japanese movie about it was a show, 2 seasons, I think. No, 1 season. Where they had the King of Hearts, the Queen of Hearts, and they go into the game world or whatever. I can't remember what that.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't remember the name.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of that. But that was brilliant. I loved that. That was absolutely astonishing.
I caught a clip of it on TikTok, and I was like interested, but I instead of watching it, I looked up the wiki and just read the synopsis of each episode. The other one I remember, I think, that you liked was Love, Death, and Robots.
Love, Death, and Robots has a million good shows in it. It's Love, Death, and Robots.
Every single
one
could be a series of its own.
Yeah. And then there's Shogun. Shogun really pulled me in.
Nick just finished reading Shogun.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a really good book.
That's a slog to get through the first half, though.
Oh, yeah. But and there's follow-ons. He knows that there's follow-ons, right? There's like Shogun, Taipei. I think there's...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's 3 or 4 follow-ons. So it goes... Shogun would be the first, but it follows... Like every 3 generations, he has another story set in a different part of Asia.
That's cool.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember them all.
Jeb is asking, how come the launch time keeps getting further away on BackerKit? Because Steve and Chuck are working through some technical difficulties. And hopefully that'll be done very soon. We're kind of not stalling. We're not stalling.
We're placeholders.
We're placeholders, yeah.
We're NPCs.
We're just keeping the stream warm.
Wait, Grace, are you a prompt? Have you seen those prompt videos?
Oh, yeah.
We're just prompts.
Yeah.
Those are pretty funny.
Yeah. On X, this was forever. Sorry, Violence Solves Everything on X. I totally glossed over your question earlier. 14 new classes or 14 revised from the last printing? It's the same 14 classes. They're just going to be fully leveled up to 24. And some stuff is going to be changed, I think, on certain classes. New and
Yeah,
improved.
I can't recall. Can't go over several of the classes. There might be some minor changes on how they play out. I think the only class in there that uh, I don't like the Scald, but it's an overpowered class. It's an OP class.
Can you
It's a
explain?
it can take a lot of hit points and do a lot of damage, and
Let's
it helps a
go.
lot. It's one of those classes that I like,
Yeah.
but it just seems a little bit overpowered to me. But I'd have to play it out for its like level runs up to like 12th level to see.
Yeah.
Like just play a character that whole time, just to see how it plays out in a party and stuff like that. Because it may not be in play as overpowered as like when I read it and imagine what I can do with it.
Yeah.
I don't have my book handy with it. I can go over specifics, but
It's always different in practice.
exactly.
Like, you can read something and think, oh man, I'm going to use that all the time. I've had moments like that, like, in all sorts of different, like, game systems, even. But then you start playing, and it's like, I never once used this thing that I thought was going to be really OP.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's why, and I mean, we've play tested it at numerous levels and short adventures with it. But for me to make a really good determination, I have to sit down and play it for 12 levels and see.
Yeah.
And at the rate we give out experience points, I'd be 82 years old by then. So that's unlikely to happen. The
I still
but I
think
do
that we
like
should do like a high level Adventures Backpack class one shot before the crowdfunding campaign is over
that would be cool.
this month sometime.
We get Chuck to run it or Steve to run it, and that would be a lot of fun. Play at about 9th level or somewhere around in there,
That'd be fun.
or 12th level or 20th level.
I think we should go really high, like to get into the new stuff.
Oh, like 15th or 16th level.
Yeah.
Do you know how difficult it is to run a game at that level?
Yes. In fact,
Yeah.
I did a 5e game for about 2 years, and I think that our party was like level 11 or something when we kind of paused. But yeah, I mean, I was throwing monsters at them for like the role play, in fact, at that point, not to actually like give them a challenge in combat, because it just wasn't possible.
Oh yeah, no. At that point, you have to start. So, yeah, I think functionally, the way these games are designed, there's like a plateauing effect, you know, that you reach. But yeah, you have to start creating monsters, and then so the magic powers or the powers that you give some of the creatures, like spell resistance, you just have to ramp that spell resistance up, you know, and then give them automatic regeneration or healing or damage absorption, you know, to cut it all down and stuff like that. It gets really challenging from the CK's perspective to run at that level.
What I love the most are monsters that are really good at grappling players and then can transfer any damage that they take into whatever person that they have grappled.
Yes.
Those are very fun.
Pull a character down on their knees. Because once they're down and prone, it's like a +10 to hit them, you know, and you can throw in all kinds of extra stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember when Steve had reached with his character Kane such high level that I had the orcs and goblins when they would attack. It's just like in those classic superhero movies. It's just a pile of them. They just pile on top of them, right? And they're just trying to trip them and knock them over. But eventually, if they get them knocked over, then they can start. They get that +10 to hit, you know, all that kinds of stuff. And I don't know, but that's a good way to do it too. And certain weapons, like if you get in the weapons book, certain weapons are designed in part to trip opponents, right? That's a design element of the weapon. Yeah. So you can use it to trip and knock your opponent prone, allowing other people to stab them while they're prone and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I watched a really interesting show one time about how medieval knights fought, knights versus men-at-arms.
Yeah.
So the bowmen or the pikemen, and say even the crossbowmen, but I think it was in particular the pikemen or halberdiers. It was a group of halberdiers. Each halberdier had 2 aides, right? So that there were 2 people behind the halberdier to help them out. and one of the points of the halberdier was to actually trip the knight, right? To grab the ankle or lower leg or something, unbalance or trip the knight. And once the knight was down, the other two jumping on him with knives going through his eyes. Can you imagine? You're covered head to toe in armor.
Yeah.
The only weak point you have is your eyeball.
Worst place ever to.
The only place, and they're all just like sliding that knife in your eyeball, and you can see it coming in. And you're like,
Ugh.
man.
People have experienced throughout history and are still experiencing some truly like horrifying shit that I luckily very privileged could not even like begin to comprehend.
Oh, can you?
Terror the likes of which I've never known.
No, it's really amazing reading about it too. I think we forget, like in our day and age, especially here in like, let's say North America, to include Canada, is how exceedingly lucky we are.
Oh my God, yeah.
In the vast panoply of human history, I mean, we are so exceedingly lucky.
Extraordinarily so. Steve, how's it going?
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Trying
I'm
to
gonna
get it.
resize this a little bit.
Did you pump up the volume on the back, kid?
We think we did. So we noticed a slight issue in some of the pledge stuff that needed to be fixed. We scrambled. We got that. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what's happening. We got that fixed. And Chuck's now going back in and fixing the pledge level, where you actually pledge that type of crap. So it was, it's a Troll Lord world.
We're just living in
it.
it.
The pledge levels are a lot more complicated than...
They really are, and going in there and trying to pre-value stuff that you don't know the page count on, whatever. It creates a whole level of,
Good
confusion.
times.
Good times. All right, what is going on here? I'm going to close something. You may lose me.
Okay. I was
Am I
just
still
moving
there?
around. Yeah, you're
Your
still
screen keeps moving around.
I was just moving I was just resizing the thing for stream, so we were jittering around for a little bit.
Okay, I think that I've got mine. Is it good? All right. So now we're waiting for Chuck to do the last minute,
Cool.
and then to launch. So it should be relatively soon.
I've got a newsletter ready to go, and we'll just kick off the party anytime.
And we will need Grace. I assume that you know how to do this from Zoom is to launch this on BackerKit as well. Then Chuck will know how to
figure out how to do that.
I don't think you can until we are live. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, probably not.
Yeah, to do the launch party and all that stuff.
Don't remember how to do that. I know that I don't.
Hey, hey, next time we do a launch party, we should actually do get those little balloons and those little poppers and stuff like that.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, we should.
Get a bottle of champagne. Get
We can do a launch reveal. We can have balloons and colors pop out.
We have a question from Bloodworth. Will there be any additional systems for domain play in the Reforged Adventurers backpack?
So we don't really do domain like they do in 5th edition, if I'm understanding domains. Isn't that that's what clerics have, right? In 5th edition?
Oh.
I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, Blood. Let me know if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, like the domain of war, domain of healing, domain of...
Yes.
Yeah. I heard domain play, and my brain went to yes, territories, domains.
Yes, territories.
Oh,
they're sort of like territories.
Yeah, I was right. High-level characters doing kingdom.
Oh,
stuff.
That's a fascinating.
It's not in there now, but
Building
what would
castles and settlements.
what would be kind of cool, because a lot of that stuff is in the Castle Keeper's Guide. what would be kind of cool in this book is adding a kind of complementary section for that. I think that's chapter 10, expanding, the domains is basically how to build kingdoms and all that crap. But from not the CK's perspective, but from the player's perspective.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be very interesting.
Did
Yeah,
you
Bloodworth
use
and the
engineering
CKG,
castles to do that?
you can. A lot of this stuff, and it's a little bit spread, but like in the Castle Keeper's Guide, there's rules on building guilds and stuff like that. There's rules on, or guidelines, I should say, and then guidelines on creating kingdoms and all of that stuff. All of that's in the CKG pretty stoutly, but none of it's from the player's perspective, like what you would need to do, to do this, that, or the other.
What would be cool is if we could create a structured gameplay with domains. I'm not really sure how you could do that since structured gameplay is part of the whole setup.
I feel like it would almost have to be its own mini tabletop game.
Yeah.
Like, I'm picturing you're taking turns, like, kind of making more sweeping decisions. Probably still role play, but...
Yeah.
And, like,
So what we did back in the Woebegone days in the 80s, when the big game that went into the Codex of Air, when they hit like 10th and 12th level and they started having domains, territories, and whatnot, I broke out 4 or 5 old war games from the 1970s. Lord of the Rings was one of them. I remember that. We used the Firefox maps and all of this business, and we created these really brief rules, like 2 pages of rules on how the units could fight, and then we created character rules where your characters were on the maps as well. So on the maps, and Grace, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but the old war games were these huge maps, giant maps with little hexes on them and terrain, and your units were represented by little bitty square chits. And each of these chits went into a hex. They had a movement value, an armor class value, an attack value, and all that bullshit. Mm-hmm. And you can roll your dice, kill each other. Well, we integrated it so that the players had chits as well. I think Swords and Sorcery was the box set we used for those.
Yeah.
You remember, Davis? They had a lot of individual character cheats and chits in it. We could easily do. I can guarantee if I pulled my notes and from that game, and Davis just went through them and brushed them up and make it a little bit more logical, we could probably put that together in 2 days, minus printing.
Cool.
That would be kind of interesting.
That'd be pretty.
Yeah,
sweet.
that's what I was thinking of immediately. I'm not really sure where, like, how you would actually implement it in the world of Air, because you need a hex map. But like ideally, what I imagine are the hexes being 5 miles, and you build your castle. That's 25 square miles. That's a huge amount of territory, right? Or more, it's more than 25, but roughly. And that's about a maneuver element for any decently sized army or something like that. And then you just sort of claim territory, and you build it such that it takes time to raise troops, takes time so that the characters or the players can take their characters and go on adventures while their kingdom sort of auto runs, and then they can come back into the mesh, and get involved with politics and alliances and stuff like that.
So I don't think we have it for kingdoms. I'd have to really dig into it, but I know in the Castle Keeper's Guide, if you create guilds, and there's a percentage that you earn over time. You roll like a siege check, and you get, if you succeed, then your guild grows by 5%, and your character earns X amount. We could easily extrapolate that out for kingdoms, baronies, and all of that bullshit.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. But that would be, that's it would almost be a mini game in and of itself, I think, at that point.
I'm picturing, I know I keep talking about it, but Dawn of Worlds, it's very similar to that.
Yeah.
But it would be perfect for, like, after Winter Dark.
Yes.
In, like, the immediate days after Unglar's overthrow, where, like, anyone can kind of... it all belonged to Unglar, so now it belongs to nobody, so who's strongest? Who's gonna take it?
Actually, that would be Okay, so I never thought about that. I had suggested to Steve that we build a Winter Dark campaign, which takes place right in the Winter Dark, right during Unklar's reign. But that's sort of difficult, simply for a variety of reasons. Anyway, but right afterwards, say like a year afterwards, when there's no kingdoms formed really, when
I'm
it's
telling
all
you,
freaking
I'm
yeah.
fascinated by that time period. It like captivates me. I think about it in my spare time. Like the first spring, the very first one after Winter Dark.
Oh,
Ah,
the
That
chaos.
would be yeah, the absolute chaos
Yeah.
would be rife with adventures everywhere or
chaos.
conflict everywhere. And that would be that could be a mini game where you just develop your own kingdoms within it. That would be sort of interesting.
Yeah, that would be cool, actually. So
Yeah.
we have on page 211 of the CKG a growth and income section.
Thank God.
That book has a little bit of everything in it. That would be kind of cool, though, and there's actually plenty of room for you to do your own, cut your own rug and aired. It would be very, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
had.
we've
We all
really never explored this. This has come up in a number of streams, this domain stuff.
Mhm.
This would be very cool.
Yeah, I think what Birthright was one that was done previously, which is sort of, I guess, similar to that. But you could come up with, I think you could come up with a really interesting game, and it doesn't have to be chit based necessarily, though it can be chit based. I don't know. I think it would be a cool type of gameplay.
We did have a
Or maybe
question.
you-
Or,
Mhm.
sorry, you go first.
Or you could do like sets of maps, like tactical maps, and then a big map. I don't know. That's an interesting thing. Something we'll look at.
That'd be really cool. Psych War 81 had a question. Can we talk about multi-classing? My players want it. Can we talk a little bit about the difference between the 3 different ways that we can multi-class in the Adventurer's Backpack? Because I actually don't know the deets.
Yeah, I only know the rudiments of these things. So what you're going to see in the Adventurer's Backpack is multi-classing, dual classing, and class and a half. And if I remember correctly, and what we've done, Mark Sandy went in and he expanded all of this stuff to include the classes from the Adventurer's Backpack to give you your various combinations, their abilities, and all that stuff. So it's a lot of this stuff is going to be really detailed for you. But multi-classing is when you've got, I'm a dwarf, fighter, cleric, right? I'm a fighter, I advance in fighter, then I advance in cleric, then I advance in fighter, then I advance in cleric, that type of thing. Dual classing is when you've got, dual classing is when you switch both back and forth, and then multi-classing is when you have attributes of both. And in class and a half, if I remember correctly, it's where you play a fighter, but I want to have some wizard abilities, so I take chunks of the wizard and just kind of put them on and not the whole class.
That's
So you
cool.
kind of build your own. It's really a whole lot of options for you to take these.
Yeah.
We're going to have 24 classes now or something,
Yeah.
and go in a multitude of directions with them. It's one of the coolest things I've seen Matt Golden do. And for those who don't know, Matt Golden co-designed Castles and Crusades with Davis there. He was playing a ranger in my game. Todd was playing a ranger, and they both got 3rd level. And Mac was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he pulled some knight. He said, I'm gonna make it a ranger knight. He pulled some knight abilities out, and as he gained levels, he got these knight abilities. And then he was like 9th level. He goes, I don't want to do this anymore. So he added, I think it was the rune mark abilities to it. So he just slowly morphed his character as he went, and it was really cool. I mean, I didn't know what was
sounds like
going
the
on.
result would be awesome. Like just a highly customized like
Yes.
Frankenstein monster of like
Yeah, and it is, and it gets you. Because when you plan a character for a long time, especially in a game like mine or Davis's, that goes real slow. The level progression's not huge. You might want to change it up after a while.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't have an issue. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. In fact, if you consider between the multi-classing, dual classing, and class and a half, and dual classing can be taken a lot of different ways. But
Yeah.
I mean, the options you have, I mean, I can't do the math. I don't know how to do the math. It's one of those functions you take.
Mark did all that for us in the expanded class.
Yeah, you take 24 classes and you can hyper detail the type of class that you want, or a player or a character that you want, that will be fairly freaking unique, because you have something like 100 and some odd variation potentials.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
People are talking about how Class and a Half is punishing an XP. If you're not single class, expect an XP slog for leveling. I'm part of the milestone leveling supremacy club. Where do you guys sit with XP
That would
versus
speed that up.
milestone?
That would definitely.
Yeah, like
is.
I think on the Class and a Half, if you find that I mean, the slog is sort of there for a reason because you have extra abilities.
Right.
But I mean, if you find it too much, just lower it. I mean, I don't particularly. I mean, it's just a mechanical limitation. But if the players or gameplay is not working out, I would just lower it by 10 or 15%, and just see how that works out.
Yeah.
But what it does do by taking away that slog, a little bit of that slog, I mean, that's the price you pay for all those extra abilities or that extra capacity. Is that you can imbalance the game against the classes, against the core classes. So that's
Are there
one of the
any
mechanical
like tips for like? I mean, I know that like each monster has their own like XP score and like stuff that they give, but is there like anything to keep in mind? Like melee characters should level faster, or spellcasters should level faster, or like any general rule of thumb like that for XP leveling?
I am of the opinion, it's my opinion, that I don't really pay attention that much to my random encounters or most encounters. So I don't really worry about their level. I think the players should be aware of what their characters are capable of doing and when they go into risky situations and when they shouldn't. So I don't worry about that.
That's funny. I don't remember you doling out experience points. I'm sure you do, or do you just do the thing like after 7 or 8 games, you're like, okay, you guys are second level.
I don't. No, it would just be every once in a while I would give them out. Back in the old day, you remember how they were wheeled out. You get 3 experience points. You get, everyone would be dutifully writing down their 3 experience points and have these long sheets of paper, and then they would add them up at the end.
Those are the funniest. You'd play like 6 hours, and at the end of it, I would be going, all right, Todd, you've got 37 experience points. Mac, you've got 19. It took forever to go up levels.
I'm more ad hoc with it now a little bit. I put in a combination of what's been killed, like actual experience points, and then I give awards for, they're sort of like milestone awards. Like if you actually accomplish this thing that I've sort of set out for you, I'm going to give everyone gets 1,000 experience points for that or something.
Okay, I want to let everyone know who's here. So this is where we are, and this is the eternal battle between Chuck and I. We found a discrepancy, and we overpriced the Adventurer's Companion, and this rippled through 4 of the pledge levels. We had to go in and adjust, and all the graphics had to be changed and all that stuff. So what Chuck's in charge of is the actual where you pledge, where you go in and pledge. There's graphics for that. There's the amount, and then there's a graphic. But I told him just to put placeholder graphics in there and let us launch, and then he can go back in and fix the graphics this afternoon. But he doesn't want to do that. He's fixing their graphics as he goes. Even though he told
so
me,
there's no confusion.
it is certainly helpful, but this is
It's a little late on launch.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Hey, only 40 minutes so far.
It's all good. It's a Troll Lord world.
We're all just
Speaking of which, so Davis, Grace, you'll both be amused that the bank, for this whole financing, the building, and all this bullshit that we're in the midst of,
being
wants
super
my
cooperative.
Yes, lovely. Well, you know what's funny about that? They used to be, but that's a whole different story. But they want my resume. David said, "Dude, I need an updated resume." I've been working for Troller Games since 1999.
What are they going to use a resume for?
I have no idea. I really don't know. It has become such a paperwork slog to get any kind of financing at this, for this type of stuff.
That's insane.
What's crazy about it, and Davis will remember this, when we started this company in 1999, we took his Ford Explorer, Mac's full-time job, and my relationship with the bank, and went to my banker and said, hey, we want to borrow $10,000. And Davis's Explorer it looked like it had been through about 4 war zones at this point. He had ripped most of the interior out and got rid of that while he was camping. And the bank was like, yeah, sure, we can do that. And we all 3 signed the loan. There was maybe 2 sheets of paper, maybe a 30-minute conversation, and we walked out with 10 grand. But it's not that way anymore. It's a ream of paperwork. They asked for, so they have to send it to somebody. I can't remember the guy's name is. This committee. And they asked for a history of Troller Games, a history of Chenault and Gray, milestone publications. And Dave was like, I know you printed some Edgar Rice Burroughs thing. I'm like, dude, there's 300 books that we've printed that we've published. It's just nutty.
I guess since it's for a significant sum, or that might be part of the issue. But yeah,
it's we know the problem. We won't go into it, but we know the source of the problem.
But it's all coming together.
I think it'll come together. I'm relatively confident, and if for whatever reason this bank doesn't go, then there's another bank that's kind of itching to do it. So it works the contractor. I probably should have gone with the contractor's bank to begin with, but I've been with our bank since it's forever. As I can remember. So. Man.
Yeah, it helps because I think at a certain point too, I know that. So I have 2 friends who make a lot of money and or have a lot of money. They don't work they have a lot of money. And,
not yet, Agar.
They can just go to the bank and borrow like $100,000 without. They just sign a piece of paper and the bank will give them $100,000.
Yeah, I think that if you have that kind of liquidity, but these days there's so many regulations on it, and they've got to file it with the FTC or whatever. So all of this stuff has to be check marked before they can approve them. So, I mean, I've been working with David since he's probably been our.
Oh, that's true. No. I might be wrong about that now because there's been so many new regulations coming out in the past 5 years.
Well, it started in 2008 with the mortgage collapse in 2008. That's when it really began. And then every year or so, David was telling me, every year or so there's just more stuff they have to do.
Yeah, but I think right around COVID, there was a host of new regulations that started pouring in. And
I don't get it.
No, the lady at the bank told me too, if you ever want to like pull out a significant sum of money from your bank, not that I could ever pull out a significant sum of money. You always take it out in small batches.
Borrowing money, the most illustrious American industry.
What we need to do is take this backpack.
Yes.
That you will find in the Adventures backpack.
That's such a
Get
great
a bunch of
backpack.
Go out west and pan for gold.
Hey, speaking of gold, R2 over on YouTube says that CNC crowdfunding in Brazil is going well so far. Thank you, Chenault. I can't wait to have it in Portuguese to run games with it.
Fantastic. That is going to be so awesome.
That's going to be so. That's excellent for the Summer of Siege too. So I'll put it back on Twitter. We should put it out in the newsletter as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So anyone who can support that campaign in Brazil, please support it. Even if it's just do they have a $1 pledge or a $5 pledge, just to show your support.
Ardu, if you're able to link it to us, would you mind to do that so we can post it in chat right now?
Yeah. just to be sure that they can get everything out. I mean, it's nice to see someone translating it and getting their, their business going and everything like that, getting that whole slew going. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's
no, that's
awesome
really
to see
cool.
it in Portuguese.
Yeah, that's gonna be very, very cool. Chuck
Savage,
says that he is the host.
Yeah?
Woohoo!
Any minute
So
Chuck
now.
Chuck's always telling me that he.
So like an hour, maybe tomorrow.
Right, 3 more days.
Savage has a question unrelated to the backer kit. Is there any ETA on the starter kit? Someone on Reddit was asking about it, they say.
Yes, that is set for the 16th. Probably tomorrow we'll actually begin production of the books, covers and whatnot. But I think that we'll hit the 16th on that.
Very excited. The 16th when they ship out? Or when
They will ship to
pre-orders?
that is the plan if the boxes arrive. Now the boxes are scheduled to ship to us on the 6th, so 3 or 4 days to get here. By that time we'll start assembling them and start rolling them out. So the hope is the 16th, and everything's paid for, so everything should be good. There should be no delays. All that.
It's been tough. A lot of the printers and box makers and like stuff here in America has been getting super bogged down.
Yes, it's
It
been a
happens.
lot. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out for just a second and check into what Chuck is
Yeah,
got me doing.
Sorry, I got lost on something real quick. I was looking for that link to put it back up on Twitter.
Rick says, I think CNC is on track to be bigger in Germany than David Hasselhoff.
Sweet.
What is Castles and Crusades in German? What's castle? It's not.
Berg? Or is that palace? Berg?
I thought Berg was like town.
Oh.
But maybe it's not. Maybe Berg is castle. Hang on. Castle in German. Schloss.
Schloss is more like castle. Or palace, I think. Let's see.
Crusades is Kreuzzüge.
I would go with let's see, Rotenberg. Okay, so Berg, close. It has to be Berg or Borg, Berg or Borg, Bergen. There it is, Bergen and Kreuzzüge. Kreuzzüge.
Doesn't roll off the tongue quite as much as Castles and Crusades. Kreuzen und Burgen und Kreuzzüge.
Alright, I gotta step out real quick and help Chuck. I'll be back with you.
Lass uns spielen. Jetzt, heute.
So is Kreuz war? That's war, right? Or what is?
No, that's Krieg.
Krieg. What a great name for war, though. Krieg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
Kriegspiel.
German. Kriegspiel.
Yeah, Kriegspiel, war game.
Yeah. I started learning German in like 7th grade. I was 12 because a friend of mine, at that point you have to like choose a language to learn, and you can either do Spanish or German or French, at least in my public school system. And a friend of mine told me that popcorn in German was Pufkein. And I was sold. All my friends were doing Spanish. I decided right then I was going to do German. It's not even true. It doesn't.
Oh, is it not?
Pufkein is not popcorn in German.
That's a good word, though. Pufkein.
Isn't it? I still say it. Have some Pufkein.
You say Pufkinder.
Pufkinder.
Children.
German is a beautiful language.
Yeah, it is. It can be. It's not a mellifluous language, I would say that, though, but it is a cool language. It's really
what?
cool. Of course, I was born in Germany, went to high school in Germany, served in the army in Germany, played on German. The funny thing is, I never took a German course until I was in college, and not in Germany, and only took 2 semesters of it.
I didn't know that you spent so much time in your youth in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love Germany, but I learned Pigeon German. I just made it up as I went, to
Yeah,
try to try to pick up what everyone else was saying. But I could get away with holding conversations and stuff like that. I
sure.
picked up enough. But I never took an actual class until college. And then I wasn't in Germany at the time. And didn't go back for like 10 years after that. So
That's awesome.
it's just sort of funny.
Jeremy says brute force the language. Just
Yes.
drive through it. Well, it doesn't help that like everything in German is gendered and it's all random. There's a couple rules
Yeah.
here and there, but for the most part, like you're guessing.
No, there's no sense. There's no sense in trying to learn those. Like, try to find those little rules. Well, all these things are feminine, and all these things are masculine. All these things are neutral. Whatever.
Yeah.
You just have to, like you said, brute force it,
Yeah.
memorize it, straight up memorize it. Because I don't think there is any really logic to it, and all
You-
those little bitty rules like that just get in the way
Yeah.
of memorization.
You start to feel it out, I think. I felt like
Yeah.
on like year 4 and 5 of like learning the language, it was like I caught a vibe from each word. If I didn't know what the gender of it was, like you'd guess and be right most of the time. Like you get acclimated to.
Yeah.
There is like a
Yeah.
subconscious kind of pattern, I think, that you sort of learn.
I think it's the same way with like English. Like you may not know the proper rules or something like that, but after a while it just starts to sound correct the way put
Exactly.
your sentences together. Or you can tell when it's incorrect or poorly worded or something like that.
Yeah.
But then after a while you just sort of, well, I don't know where that adverb goes, but blah, and it just sounds right.
Yeah. I've been learning.
That's why
Sorry, go ahead.
you can always tell when someone's learning English, and other than the accent usually, but
Mhm.
where they place their words.
Yeah. English sentence structure is like kind of a puzzle all of its own, and as a native English speaker, I don't really think about it, but like the way that our like adjectives are placed, there's an order to it.
Yes.
I wouldn't say the black big dog. That's
Right.
wrong. It's the big black dog.
Yeah. No, it's weird. And did you
Yeah.
ever learn that rule?
No.
Yeah. No, I never learned that rule. I didn't, know about it. There's actually a rule and an order for it. I was like,
Yeah.
No, which came first, the chicken or the egg on that one? I think people were putting it in that order first, and we just came up with the rule afterwards because it
I
just
think so too.
makes more sense that way, or something like that. I guess.
You.
Would be my guess.
I wonder if. No, never mind. I have like a half-baked thought that isn't actually made of any words. Never mind.
I know a little German. He's over here right now, or he's right over there. He's a little bitty German.
Little bitty German. And then says like, bist du Frankfurter? Yeah. Like, you're from Frankfurt. And the American spy says, yes, I am a hot dog. And they both bust out laughing. Says Hager the Horrible.
Du bist ein Frankfurter.
I was surprised to learn about the this versus. Well, so I can't actually like do it with my fingers, but holding up the number 3.
Oh, I can't do anything like that.
Americans, I guess, do like. Yeah, like that.
Oh yeah.
I can't do.
Oh, you can't do it?
No, I can only do this.
Wait, so you got 2?
That's another good way to do it. But apparently the Germans do this.
Yeah, they use the
Yeah.
3, and we don't. We just 3.
I'm nerfed. I'm nerfed as an American. Can't do it.
Wow, I've never thought about that. It's like some people can't do the Spock thing. Used to be with you.
Yeah.
Now, honestly though, I had teach myself that. I remember teaching myself because I tried to do it the first time,
Yeah.
and some guy's like, "Aha, you can't do it." So I spent a long time teaching myself, and then I can't remember who it was. It was Jamie Simmental, I think. But then he came back with me, of course, and then he did the thing where he would take this finger and go back, 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 back,
Oh,
back,
by
back.
itself?
Yeah, by itself. And I was like, okay, no way. And I still can't do it. I was like, I give up. You people and your finger tricks.
Is this it? Am I doing it?
Yep.
I can do that, but not indicate the number 3.
You're a witch. You
Shit.
can't use 3, the magic number. You must be a witch.
This is the content I subscribe for.
Well, King Gothar, can you do this?
Magic.
You can
Ooh.
practice.
We have a question.
That should. What?
Wait, you go first. You go first.
That should be a spell.
Yeah.
But the only way it can be cast if the player can actually do it at the table. You can add 1d8 extra damage if you can actually do the spot.
If you can do
What?
a weird little hand trick.
If you can do a hand trick. Put that in official rules somewhere. Like the Google Eyes of Doom. I think we removed
Hey.
the Google Eyes of Doom.
Snowed AJ, that's my fellow player in our Monday game with Shout
Oh,
for
okay,
CNC. Wait, who was it? Okay, Dirty Dwarf asks, what is one CNC rule that Davis wishes he could change? This is a tough
Okay.
question because I feel like none of us, maybe Jeremy, maybe you. I feel like none of us really know all the rules to Castles and Crusades.
But it's a lot of rules to know. I'm happy with the baseline. If I could go back and change, if I could go back and just like rake the whole thing over again,
Yeah.
I would decimate the spells. I would obliterate the spell list. Okay.
Really?
And yeah, Steve will not let me touch spells. I can read them, and I can suggest changes or something like that, or say this may be out, but he will not let me touch spells because I would literally obliterate the spells. And I would go back through and systematize the experience point system, create a. Because I get sort of locked up in like the numbers.
Yeah.
Like in World of Warcraft, you have your DPS, and they go through a whole lot of work to balance those classes. And when a class is unbalanced, it's fairly obvious that it has an unbalanced power or something like that. But they go through a whole lot of work to balance those classes. And I remember the amount of work I went through to balance everything out at first, but it didn't work out because there's so many abilities and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of ad hoc work in there and intuitive stuff that you get used, intuitively, this is what it should be worth. You can't put a number on it. Like an illusion, you can't put because it's going to depend entirely on the player how that illusion plays out or how it's used or something like that. Entirely on imagination of the player. So it can be a super powerful spell or a pointless, niggling pain inside. But try to systematize that. But I think the spell list would be the one thing. You know what else I would do? I would go back through and systematize the weapon damage system, sort of what I did in the weapons book.
Yeah.
That's my systematization. So I went back and corrected. So there's certain things in the weapons book that are not the same as in the player's handbook. Of course, the player's handbook supersedes the weapons book. Nevertheless, that's what I would do. What I've done with the weapons is what I would do with everything, to include hats and boots.
Put it all
And
in the
rope
system.
with tensile string. You can only hold 400 pounds. Then you have to roll. I don't know. One rule, though, I can't think of any single rule that off the top of my head. Oh, no, this is what I would do. I would erase the distinction between saving throws and attribute checks. I would roll those into one check, just an attribute check. That's all I would do. I think I would do. Figure out how that is. Oh, here's another potential rule change.
Yeah.
Is of course that's all I do is sit here and try to figure out new rules for everything.
Yeah, of course.
We're stupid. Yeah, but the make combat attribute checks. So tie it to
cool.
the 1218 system.
That'd be
Now
nice.
you can, but it creates a wonkiness to it, so it's discordant with previous play. So we've never done it, and nor will we. We're going to keep it as is. So the combat is sort of like it's one subset of rules.
But that, I don't know, I like the seed of that idea. Like, the thought of it being so seamless with, like, RP gameplay, where you're making, like, attribute checks and stuff like that. The idea of there being very little change from RP to combat as far as the rolls that you're making. I like that idea. Right. That sounds nice.
Yes. Yeah, I think, and it's Mac. Let's see, Mac came back and back configured the math on it one time, but we lost all the notes to that. I've back configured it a few times. And like I said, you can do it, but you have to. But there are so many variables that have to be addressed along the way, like the whole way armor class works. All of that stuff has to be addressed along the way. That we haven't done it. Although, I might just like put one together as a free pamphlet or something like that.
That's what Dirty Dwarf said. Davis needs to create a secret CNC game when Stephen isn't looking. Just make a secret. And there's only
here would be my spell list, like spells that cause damage, spells that fix stuff, spells that irritate your opponent.
That would be awesome. I love it when spells are cataloged that way. No lie.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically like fireball, electric bolt, power words, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Basically, you're doing damage to your opponent. That's it. I
don't want to read through a spell list to find those things. I want to just sort by category.
Right. Yeah. So my thinking on that is, like, I think damage causing spells are sort of the easiest to deal with that way. This spell causes damage to an opponent. At this level, it can do this much damage, blah, 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 blah. It's up to the player to decide how that damage is dealt. Like, if it's a power word thing, then they can just say it like the guy from Dune, Paul from Dune, just has power words of the witches. They have power words and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And then if you want it to be a bolt of, like, I don't know, Pokemon bolt, or something like that, it just does the damage or something like that. Shh, don't say anything when Kent's around.
Steve, we're plotting a new CNC.
Nothing changes.
Actually, I'm glad you're here. My laptop died and I need to pull up Constant Contact so I can send that newsletter when it's time, but I need a code because I'm logging in from a new device. Can I have the authentication
does that
code,
get
please?
Texted to me?
It was texted to you, yeah.
Alright, I'm going to signal you the code. I guess I could just give it to you. It doesn't really matter. Where is Grace? There she is. Alright, 1.
Thank you. Steve, if there was a rule that you could change from CNC, what would you change?
The core rule I would change from the player's handbook is the unarmed combat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh?
It's too complicated. And Davis rewrote, interestingly, that's a great question, because Davis rewrote that rule, the unarmed combat, and the rewriting of the unarmed combat is in the Adventurer's Backpack.
Okay,
well, hey.
Yeah, all right, so
I'm playing a monk in our in our Monday Summer of Siege game, so I'm gonna get to know the unarmed combat system.
Yeah, use the. I'm just gonna say, Grace, right now to skip the unarmed combat in the player's handbook and use the one in the Adventurer's Backpack.
Yeah, it's much faster.
Okay.
It's much faster. It's simpler and more intuitive.
That's good to know.
Shane, how's it going, man? I hadn't seen you in forever. Go ahead, Davis.
When asked what one rule I would change, apparently I got permission to go and change a rule and was unarmed combat. I completely forgotten about that. Yes.
Yeah, it's just they're good in the player's handbook. It's more than functional. It's just slow. It's not. You got to figure too much.
Yeah. There's
None of
maths
us are about
involved.
figuring.
Yeah, nobody needs any of that.
No.
Yeah. We're not here to teach maths.
No.
Yeah, Chuck's over there in percentage hell at the moment, anyways.
Oh no. How's it going? Do we have a status update to share?
I think that we're done. He's probably looking it back over. There's just some interesting things that, we've done 48 or 44 Kickstarter campaigns, and those are all pretty. There's like 8 things you got to just go in and you fill this out and you go.
Yeah.
But Backer Kit, they've got
It's a different
slightly
beast.
more, a little bit more involved. So we're, this is only our second Backer Kit campaign. We thought we were ready last Friday. We were clearly not. Because Chuck and I went over all this stuff, and then of course this morning I discovered we overcharged for something. So,
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Better to
That-
realize
right.
that now before anyone pays for it. So.
Yeah, and it was significant. I mean, it's the and I know where it got screwed up. The Adventurer's Companion, which was Mystical Companions previously, it was a $30 hardcover. Well, Jeremy rewrote it, and I told him to clean all 3rd edition material out, even vague references. So it's like 50 pages now. So it's a 50-page soft cover, but we had plugged in the hardcover cost of it, based on previous blah blah, and that's just not. It's completely redone.
Cool.
The original companions, the original Mystical Companions, and before that, Book of Names. Good books, but the first one was D20. The second one was for Castles and Crusades. And when Jason Vane converted it, he kept as much of the D20 intact as he could because that was kind of built into the classes. So I asked Jeremy this time to just dump all of it and go pure CNC, and he went pure CNC. So it's just siege checks. That's it. There's no extra stuff, whatever. But it cuts a bit.
Could we chat a little bit about some of the new high level abilities for some of these classes?
Absolutely, I've got them. They're all
give folks a better idea of how it's all growing and how it's shaking out.
So for those who don't know, the Adventurer's Backpack originally published in 2015 or 2016 or something like that. Trying to get to my class section. The classes only went to 13th level. The reason that I did that when we wrote them is because Mac and Davis designed the game to cap out at 13th level. That was kind of that was definitely the original conception of Castles and Crusades. You get to 13th level, start a new character. And Davis and Mac were pretty adamant about that. That's why when we created the higher levels for the Player's Handbook, they originally didn't appear in the Player's Handbook. They originally appeared in the Castle Keeper's Guide. So, because these are optional rules, I didn't want to break with Davis's, with their vision. Now, when we eventually merged the higher levels in the Player's Handbook classes into the Player's Handbook, that's why you see a very distinctive break in the layout. If you're in the CNC Player's Handbook, it's going to have the fighter. You go to 13th level, and then it has a separate section that says 13th level and above with its own experience chart. That was to keep the CNC purists, those people who play by Davis and Mac's original vision, which I am not one of them. And just for argument's sake, so that people know, Mac isn't either. He's got an 18th level character. So the Adventurer's Backpack never had the classes, the 14 classes, and didn't go to 24th level. Except, weirdly enough, the Rune Mark, which was written for a different book that I wrote, blah, 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 it always went to 24th level.
The Rune Mark is kind of like the protagonist of the Adventurer's Backpack a little bit. They're the star of the show, I think.
It is the star of the show. Now, I've gone in and simplified the Rune Mark somewhat, the language, to make it, nothing really changed, but I simplified the language, looking at people's notations on it. I think it reads better. But, so for this go around, all 13 new classes have abilities that go up to the 24th level. I just popped open the Warrior Priest, So let's see, what do they got here? They can channel their strength, so they can move their divine strength up to, let's see, I wrote these a couple weeks ago, so I got to remember what they are. They can channel their strength bonus, it looks like, into items, which is kind of cool. Shield of the Undead. They got Rebuke. Upon speaking of the divine command, they banish extraplanar creatures back to their home plane. And then that 20th level ability. Now, these will still be edited. Some of these have not been edited. Chuck wanted everything to have a 24th level ability. I don't know why. Currently, it's at the 20th level. At 20th level, the warrior priest can summon the wrath of their deity down upon the heads of their enemies. The column of divine energy centers upon the
Wait. At what level?
20th currently. I think Chuck's going to petition that it goes to 24th level. Basically, they're going to be able to summon the divinity to themselves and enhance their characters quite a bit.
It would be cool for there to be like a highest level like capstone ability.
Yeah, I think that's what Chuck's kind of he's advocating for, that everybody gets this 24th level. Yeah. And it's funny too talking to him because he was.
But that would be those capstone. Yeah, that would be 24 would be the limit. That's it.
Yeah, and then you're done. It's funny talking to him, Dave, as you'll appreciate this, because last week he was like, all of our classes have a 24th level ability. And why did you do some of these? They cap at 20, some at 22. I was like, dude, I didn't even know that all of ours capped at 24. Do they? Sure. No idea. Just put it in where it feels like it should go. Let's see, the Scald can call the Valkyries, gets a strength bonus, can conjure wind, calm the Fae. When I was writing that, I got super excited about the Fae monster book, which I wanted to. I think as soon as the Codex of the Plains done, I want to dive into that.
That sounds cool.
I just love Fae. I use them in the game all the time.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Cool, weird, cheap. See what we got.
I want to do a Trolls book.
We've had quite a few calls for those books. You remember D&D used to do them. TSR used to do those. I think Warhammer or whoever did them. The Orc book, and the Book of Trolls, the Book of Orcs, the Book of Dwarves. And it's like 100 pages of just cultural stuff, class material, all of that.
That's cool.
All that good. All right, let me check in on Chuck.
I've got a couple of those old. I can't remember who did those.
Yeah, I can't either. Book of Gnomes. That's what we need, is a Book of Gnomes.
I would read a book of gnomes on the CNC gnomes. The CNC gnomes are so cool. They just look awesome.
I could proffer some recipes. Like roast gnome Benedict,
How to properly cook your gnome.
Gnome stew.
Gnome stew. All right, this is Chuck. Hold on, I'll have to leave.
All right.
That's going to be some bad news. He calls, it's bad news.
You think so?
It's always bad.
Everyone place your bets. Good or bad news.
Whenever Chuck calls, I'm always like, oh, okay, this is not good. He'll call me on my phone to get my attention. He knows I'm not going to answer my phone, but it'll get my attention, so I'll go to Skype, or not Skype, whatever, Signal, whatever.
Signal, yeah.
Hey, I will note this about Signal, which was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to do a screenshot of a piece of conversation that Kent and I had, right? And it wouldn't let me screenshot it.
Not allowed to do it anymore. Ever since.
I tried a snipping tool, I tried screenshotting, and I tried everything, and it booted me out of Signal whenever that went on. And I was like, oh, this is sort of cool. You can't screenshot. Yeah.
Damn.
Now, you can put on there as
know.
well. Yeah, you can put on there as well as like 24-hour delete or 36-hour delete, and it deletes all your messages older than 36 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about Signal there too is that they actually do have, their service provides deletion. So it is deleted. And it cannot be recovered.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any circumstance it can be recovered.
That's nice. I mean, when that's what you want, it's like, well, yeah. There you go. Manfred
Yeah.
says race books are too world specific. They make every game world seem to have to conform with one vision of the races. The rules should support world building, not limit it. I see what you mean.
Yes. Yeah, no, they can be. I think and that's where, I mean, I didn't say anything earlier, but that's where I'd say, yeah, race books would be cool, but they are world specific because you wouldn't want. So if I wrote up some stuff like I could easily write up some stuff on trolls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have so many trolls in my home campaign, so dozens of different types of trolls, and I could easily write up their histories, different unique types and unique structures. But who needs that? You know, if you're not running in Zay, you don't need 100 different types of trolls and their gods and their customs and stuff like that.
The origins. It's kind of tough to divorce that stuff from your own world building a little bit.
Yeah. So, I don't know. The only way you could apply those is like take snippets of what you like and throw into your world or something. But ideally, I would agree that they need to support world building. Because I do believe, I do think most people play in their own world.
I kind of think so too.
Yeah, I think statistics show that most people use a homebrew setting.
Yeah.
Or have homebrewed any commercially available setting quite a bit. I think most people do. I don't know that to be the case. But, yeah, you can pull them out and add to it. And there's so many different conceptions of what like an orc is now that I don't know.
Yeah, it's different to everyone depending on who you ask. I feel like it would almost have to be like a different kind of book, like instead of Codex of Dwarves or whatever, like I'm picturing more of like a general like process book of like how to develop lore for your own like fantasy race.
Yeah.
If you want it to be like world building and not a guide to dwarves and or whatever in the context of this one specific setting.
Yeah, now that's an interesting idea. Well, that would be a lot of work.
It would.
It would be fun designing your own races.
It would. Nick is kind of doing that right now. He like not inventing from scratch, but like, you know, humans, gnomes, etc. Like applying his own lore in a fantasy setting to. It's awesome. It's a lot of work, and watching him do it is like incredible. It's so interesting.
Yeah, and there's okay. So here's my thing with like all the races and stuff like that.
Yeah,
is that I think that every race that you play should be created uniquely. Okay, and they should have unique abilities and unique limitations and stuff like that, so that they're completely different. Because what's happened over my lifetime is that everything's become genericized, right? And so that
I wonder if that's happened as a result of more people taking stuff and applying it to their own settings anyway. So they're like, we're just going to give you a blank template.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, but basically what I'm saying is, in this, I'm not going to say in this game in particular, but let's say in another setting that I was showing Steve the other day, is that everything's literally the same. Except for like, oh, their skin color is a little different. Oh, they have scabs. Oh,
sure,
that's carrying a sword. Oh, their ears are long and pointy. It's not short and pointy. You know, but other than that, it's literally the exact same template. So that, say, in game, there's no difference between a half orc, a human, an elf, a gnome, a halfling. There's literally no mechanical difference between.
It's kind of just what you make it.
Yeah, it's just all an appearance thing, right?
Yeah.
So my take is, and I wouldn't know how to, well, I can implement it in my game, but how you would implement it across the board, because people have different opinions on all of them, and you know, whatever, is how you would. But I think that they each should have their own unique sets of abilities, sets and structure, and stuff like that. Which.
Good news.
We've got some bad news.
I told you.
All right, bad news, people. You win. You win the bet.
I told you, whenever Chuck calls, it's bad news.
So, Kickstarter and BackerKit do things a little bit differently. We've done so many Kickstarters, we have complete control over the platform. We go in there, we set the thing up, and we launch at whatever point we want to launch, right? It's easy to do. We're long since addicted to it because that's what we do. We set these things up, schedule the launch, and then we launch. BackerKit's not that way. BackerKit has to review this whole thing beforehand. I vaguely knew that somewhere in the back of my head. I remember it from the Castle Zaggig thing, but I shelved it. This isn't.
I thought that they had already reviewed all of our stuff.
They did. I know. You and I've been talking to Chris for 2 weeks, so I think that's
It's multiple approvals for various things. Yes.
Okay.
It's like the bank loan altogether. It's just.
Right.
So the bad news.
Did you email Martin?
I did. We reached out to BackerKit. The bad news is there will not be a launch today. It will probably be, I'm guessing, tomorrow or Wednesday or something like that. Wait, Thursday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. So that knocks things off a little bit, Kilter. But my apologies, everybody. There you go.
That's not the end of the world.
It is not. It gives Chucks a little more time to go in and clean up those graphics before we launch. That's his biggest concern. So.
Yeah, I'm just pissed off. It's all good.
This is on me. I actually went in there last night and I read that review stuff, and I thought, no, we don't need a review. We're golden. We shouldn't have to worry about this, and put it out of my head. But there you go. So. Officially, we'll put the launch date out in the next day or so. In the next few hours, we should have an idea on this.
He may respond back and say, "Yeah, go for it. I fixed it for you," or whatever.
Yeah, he may, and then we can decide.
We'll go back live, maybe, if that happens or something like that.
We will definitely.
Grace's attitude.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a launch party, and get once we have this thing.
We'll even have those little finger snapper things.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll have party supplies. We'll have hats.
Yes, Davis, we now have time to do whatever you were talking about earlier.
We can do a pizza party.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, I think as one of the stretch rewards, we even have race classes.
Yes. Dwarf, elf, gnome, and halfling.
Very cool.
But, yeah, no, I think the racial classes should be.
The free backpack. Fucking Tyler. Trying to horn in on him.
If you have not signed up, please sign up. We will be launching very, very soon. Who knows when?
I'm sorry.
It's the nature of doing business in the modern world. You log on to, what was it the other day? About 2 weeks ago, I just opened the Word, and the whole thing gave me this giant message, and I had to spend the next 4 hours figuring out what my Microsoft password was. And all I wanted to do was do a little writing on the Codex of the Plains.
I want to send Word like a strongly worded email.
We should do it with Word Perfect.
Let's do it. Yes.
Do you know that Microsoft owns Activision, and Activision owned FunCorp or InfoCorp's Zork 2 and Leather Goddesses of Phobos?
Wait, what was the last one?
Leather Goddesses of Phobos?
Leather Goddesses of Phobos. Huh.
It was one of those texts.
I was thinking of my college days. Never mind. Yeah.
Yeah, in the 1980s, you had those text-based games. And Zork 1, Zork 2, Zork 3, Zork 4, Zork 55.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything's owned by fucking Kellogg and the same 4 companies. I don't know.
There's just like 5 dudes that run the world.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Do not get me going. What's the name of it? Don't, Grace, don't.
Don't get me going.
Grace, I was egging him on about AI for about an hour last night.
And then
We
who's
can go
that
there.
guy, the clothing company guy? Kent, you know what I'm talking about.
Clothing company guy.
Who's he was on TikTok a lot, has his YouTube channel, and talks about who owns what.
Hey, chat, welcome.
This guy's fantastic.
What is his name?
I can't remember his name. The something clothing company. He's on TikTok, and basically he just goes into all of these conspiracies. And what's frightening is when he goes into some of them, and he tries to follow them to their root. He finds that there's a whole lot of truth to it. The CIA's doing a whole lot of stuff that shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, it's fine. I didn't know. Like, he'll go through and what is it? Do your own code? I own my own clothing company or something like that. I cannot remember. Look him up real quick because it's really great. And Grace, do not, Grace, get locked into that.
I'm already radicalized. It's fine.
Oh yeah, it's a rabbit hole that could drag you down for hours.
Oh my God, that's funny, Grace.
And the the Kellogg, Johnson & Johnson. Anyway, they own a lot. They own a whole lot.
Everything.
It's like
all of it.
It's cancel this clothing company. He's got a mustache, long hair. It's just he's super reasonable. I have found.
Yeah, Grace.
I'd buy that for $1.
Whatever you're doing, Grace, after the show, go and look up "Cancel My Clothing Company."
Yeah.
No, it's
well,
cancel
I'm gonna do it.
this clothing company.
Yeah.
Cancel this clothing company. Go ahead and look him up on YouTube and get into one of his who owns what videos. He has one on Kellogg.
Yeah. So
And
what he basically did, he just wanted to know at the grocery store who owns what. So he went to a grocery store. I think his first one was cereal or hair, men's
Yeah.
hair shampoo. And when you boil it all out, it's like
Yeah,
99%.
one company owns everything. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But the reason
And
I
half
started
of them are
following
actually bad for you and cause hair loss.
Yes. Oh yeah, he goes into that. And the reason I started paying attention to him is because he'll show you who owns everything, and then he'll show you those few mom and pop shops left. And then I tried to go shop at those places, right? So it was actually very helpful. But one of the places I went, I can't remember the name of the company now. I started buying their stuff. They sold out like 2 years ago, and it still says it's made by these guys, but it's not. It's it's some whoever or whatever. But Trollord Games, all homegrown.
And just to let people know that some of this stuff some of it's not real, some of it is real. So I shifted my diet again and quit using. Can't remember a few months ago you came up and said, "What's wrong with your face?" And it's like I had 1,000 bee stings all over my face, and it was just red and puffy and exploding all over the place. I mean, it was horrible. I figured out what was wrong with it, so I shifted everything back. That's where I was going on. I'm just allergic to soap. I'm allergic to 99%. I can't take perfume.
I think the funniest conversation that I've ever had with you, Dave, is you were on like your 14th different strange diet that you had conjured up in your head. You're going to eat wheat germs from a honey grant. I don't know what it was, but I said, dude, you should try this crazy diet I read about. I don't know if you remember this. This is the craziest diet you're ever going to hear about. You get up in the morning, like at 7, and you make some bacon and eggs and you eat those. And then at noon, you have like a sandwich and some chips. And then at like 6, you have like a meal of some roast beef and green beans. just eat 3 meals a day.
No. I've shifted my diet. Okay. Yet again, I've shifted my diet. Now this is how important, and I've shifted the shampoo that I use. And my hair on my beard is coming in black again.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Hey.
So just a simple shift in diet and shampoo, and the hair's coming back.
Oh, I there's so much chemicals in the crap we eat.
Yeah.
Soaps and all of that. It's nuts. We can make our own lye soap. And we'll put it.
Now we're talking.
Yes. Now we're talking. And we'll put it in the Adventurer's backpack. Which at some point we will launch on BackerKit.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right, Grace, you want to walk us out of here?
Yeah, let's go ahead and dip out. Thank you all so much for hanging out. This has been lovely. Let's toss a raid to somebody new. What's a channel that's just hanging out with not a lot of viewers? Ramius. Let's check this person out. They're painting some minis right now. It looks very nice and chill.
Cool.
If you have a minute to spare, please do hang out and just like say something nice in this guy's chat. It means the world when like a random stream raids in and then their audience is like super engaging. It just makes a streamer's day. So let's make this guy's day. If you have just a minute to spare. Stay tuned. We'll have updates on Adventures Backpack Reforged as soon as they're available. And we will see you guys. Well, I'll see. So, Steve, are you still gonna go live at 4:30?
Yeah, I'll be live.
We'll be back at 4:30 Central, and then again at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central for Scrapped, which is the campaign that I run with the Charisma Cats. So
Sweet.
lots of action on the
Charisma
TLG
Cats.
Twitch today.
Absolutely. And who knows? Maybe we'll have a launch party this afternoon.
Gotta follow and
Maybe.
subscribe to stay in the loop.
That's right.
All right, we'll see you guys later. Thanks.
Take it easy.
All right, love you guys.
Bye.